Thank you both for being here. We sort of need insights right here because what we're talking about is so big. Mr. Le Masson, you have a unique perspective because you work on a global scale with governments everywhere around the world. Are they really aware of what's going on, or what are they asking you when they come to you for help?
Yes, thanks for the question, because it's a big one. And to be fair, I've been working for the last 20 years in the government space, helping government to transform. And today, really, the question for government and public services all over the world is, will we still exist tomorrow? Do we still have a role? And I'm serious, that's the question which comes quite often when I talk with officials everywhere in the world. I would say for two main reasons. One, we just heard about with the great speech from Suzanne. Technology. Tech is everywhere. The major impact of initially analytics, social medias, etc., but artificial intelligence coming big time. We made some analysis, that says with AI, like applied intelligence at full scale in public services space, we are talking about maybe 25 to 50% of the activities being radically transformed, some of them disappearing, some being radically disrupted, and the jobs of the civil servant completely changing. So that's one aspect, the technology. And you have still to come quantum computing, the cloud at scale, on all the genomics that we discussed a bit for health. So all these technologies, just like in the private sector, will have radical changes, will bring radical changes for government, public services, general interest activities. And on the other hand, we see the players who is interested in that field, which has opened in an amazing way over the last 10, 15 years. Traditionally, you would have public service organization, government agencies, ministries, whatever they are, large social security agencies being very efficient in the way they operate, as you said, everywhere in the world. Now we see on a scale from non-profit to for-profit organization, so starting with the government non-profit, but as well many NGOs. We have here one in the room, but we have many here today in ChangeNOW. So non-profit organization, and as well for-profit organization, startups. You heard about GovTech startups saying, yes, I want to take some public service topic, general interest topic, and do something with it, because I have some fancy solution with technology to radically transform the way we operate in education. We will hear about employment soon, etc., etc. And then you have the large businesses, including companies like Accenture. It's maybe every year we are delivering $6 billion of professional services for public service agencies. So we are a player as well. So all these players are here, leveraging the technologies, and to address not only the general interest topic like health, you heard about tech for good. That's kind of how do I solve for education in the world, health, whatever health. But as well, putting back the citizen at the core of the general interest topic. And we will hear much more about that. That's all the civic tech space. You have tech for good, civic tech, and then you have all the gov tech, which is about using technology to transform the way public service operates. So in that space, is there still a role for government themselves as we used to have them? I could answer now or later as you want, but
I feel like I could
just
let you go, and you've already done 4 of my questions already, so we're on a roll here. But thanks for the overview. But going back to that very question, when they come to you, what are they looking for? Do they want to be more efficient? Do they want to be more popular? Do they want to be cool and hip and digital? I mean, what is the core question? Do they come to you and saying, I just don't understand what's going on?
Well, that's part of the question, but definitely government officials, public service officials, they want to improve the quality of service to citizens. That's one. And the other one is they want to ensure economic growth for the country, because it's the imperative to support then the next wave of services, etc., in a given country. So yes, I want to improve the way we deliver administrative paper, or we support employment, unemployment activities, etc. And of course, we all know the budget constraint, typically in Europe, but it's true everywhere in the world. They want to do it with less cost. So really, the first question is, how can I improve the quality of public services, at the same time doing it with more efficiency? And really, technology, to be clear, is a key aspect of that, a key part of the answer. The other one being the people, the talent. Do we have the right skills to do that? Because we all know, and it's true for private sector organization, but it's even more true for public sector organization, if they want to deliver the new type of services, if they want to work more with the ecosystem of players I mentioned before, they need to have the right people within the organization. Yeah. And today it's the major change, the skills of the people.
Let's go now to the people, not so much as the people in government, but the people with a capital P. And this is where make.org comes in. You're not so much interested as the efficiency of governments as so much as creating real social impact. How does that work with make.com? .org.
Yeah, .org. So we are working with the governments, but not for the governments. That's why we are not a GovTech, but this is one of the third party, the government. We are working with the citizens, is the core of what we are doing. And when we've created make.org 2 years ago, there were many reasons. One of the reasons was the fear. We were afraid for our democracy. We said, okay, we have to do something because the link between politicians and citizens is broken. We have to do something around that. But on the same time, we saw that the willingness of citizens to go into action and to do something for the general interest was booming. So we say we have to rethink participative democracy between election. So now today, after 2 years, at the beginning we didn't know how the government will react. Will they say, okay, they are trying to do what we are trying to do, or are they trying to replace us? The idea for make.org is not to replace the government, but to try to say, okay, if you want to sit at the table with us, there is place. If you don't want to sit at the table, we are going to go into action without you. But maybe it would be a better idea to come with us. So after 2 years, we saw that institutions, the cities of France, some of cities came with us around the table. Also the ministry, for example, we are going to launch something, a great consultation on Monday, and we have the Ministry of Solidarity with us around the table. So that's how we are working with the government, and I think that they see us as an opportunity.
But how does it work? I mean, you've said you saw that there was this sort of strain on the link between the public and the general interest, but so how does it work? How does clicking changes something? And the second thing is, you know that as a journalist, if you tell me there's going to be something big launched Monday, my next question is, what is being launched on Monday?
Okay, let's start on the first question. Maybe I will answer the second one, but not sure. So how does it work, make.org? So it's easy. The idea was to make something simple, just to interest people at the general interest thing. So the first step is we are asking a question to people. For example, how to take better care of our elderlies. In French, comment mieux prendre soin de nos aînés. And we ask this question, and we use the power of digital networks to reach a massive amount of people during a consultation. It's very important to be massive, to be sure that that's not only lobbying that are answering the question, but all the citizens. We want to make sure that there is an impact. So we use that. And then we make sure, after this consultation, after 2 months of consultation, that the results are actionable. That's where we use data science to make sure that the data, we understand this data and we make it actionable. And in the end, we don't forget that technology is a good thing, and technology can put us at scale, but in the end, we need the humans, we need the expertise of humans, and we need also the experiences of humans on the field. So after 2 months of consultation, you have at MakeMoreAll what we call workshops. You have the citizens. It's offline. I mean, it's in the real world because you need the real world in the end. But you'll also have the association that make a reality check of on the results of the consultation. And we do together an action plan to solve the issue, the problem. We take 3 years. We say, okay, let's try to do this in 3 years, for example, for the elderly, but also we launched 1 year ago a consultation how to fight violence against women. So that's how we are working, the methodology. So we use the best of the digital world, but also the best of the real world with the experiences of the people on the field.
Does it work? I mean, there's this idea that, you know, we now have an app to save the world. It's what Evgeny Morozov called the solutionism. The idea that through technology, right now, we have all the tools. But some of the issues you mentioned, like taking care of the elderly or creating a more equal society between women and men, are issues we've been struggling for generations.
You're right.
So is this real? Is this the gap? It can be closed through technology?
It was our questioning at the beginning. We were like, okay, maybe we are utopists, and maybe we are. I mean, there are people on the field for 20 years working for fighting violence against women. What are we going to do? But we were like, let's do this. And every 2 months, we gather the people, the citizens, the associations, and also the institution, and we talk about where we are into the consultation and the action. And the feedback from these people, it is so great. So like, we need you. We need you to do that. We need you to catalyze all the ideas. We need you to be sure that all the energies are going on the same direction. And it's really, really incredible for us to have someone, for example, working in an association for 20 years, telling us, like in the Red Cross, telling us, okay, I think we have to join the community, the coalition, because together we can be stronger. And that's so far that's working. I mean, the community of action. I don't know yet for the impact. We have to work. We have to do that. We have 2 years now for the violence against women to reach our goal is to decrease violences by 12%. We have KPIs and so on just to measure the impact.
The fact that we're just having this conversation, and you mentioned the topics you're tackling, and you also mentioned, Monsieur Le Masson, all the questions that are going through governments. Does it show progress, or does that just mean that state entities, or states as we know them, are just failing? What's the role of the state in this new landscape you both are describing? You coming or working for the government side, do you think it just shows that they're obsolete?
No, I think that it just shows that we have just an amazing opportunity today, which was not the case 10 or 15 years ago. Really, the way government, public services addresses this topic is just radically new now, because indeed technology is there. And to be clear, we launched a book back a few months ago at Accenture called Human Plus Machine. And I'm a strong believer, working in a large company which is focused on innovation and digital, that it's about human plus machine. It's not about machine plus machine or machine only, etc. It's about human working with machine, which radically transform the way they operate and get rid of many inefficient or unnecessary tasks. Then the human, with the right skills, and we are talking now with our client about emotional skills, much more than technical skills that people need to have. It's about the emotion to be able to interact with the citizen, with an elderly person, with someone who is in the hospital, etc. You need to enhance and expand those emotional skills, because the algorithm will take care about the administrative burden on all these things which you can do proactively upfront rather than afterwards. And related to the citizen role, I think the amazing power of organizations like Make.org is to be able to have at scale, indeed, the voice of the citizens being fully embedded in the way we we prepare some ideas, solutions, and we organize the future. That's really unique. We have some examples, like in the UK, we are working with the police workforce, so public safety, which tends to be a very serious things managed by the policemen, etc. And now there is an ecosystem of players in West Midlands, and as an example, where the police workforce radically transform the way they operate, working with the citizen as well, using their smartphone whenever they feel they need to interact with the police, using with some algorithm, etc. As well. So it could be a bit minority report on one hand, and we can come to that, about the trust and the ethical aspect of it. But on the other hand, it does create a network of people, including some startups locally, etc., addressing the topic of public safety. And this is all what we call, and many calls, the government as a platform. Similar to the way you have the platform like Uber or Airbnb, etc., you have the government platform which connects the dots with the huge amount of data, and I would say government have the most massive amount of data available to be able to provide new services. But the transformation itself is a very complex one. Just in France here, we have 5 million civil servants, 5 million, 5.5. So how do you transform those skills, those people, to accept? When we do some study, 80% of the citizens says, yes, I want more technology interaction with government to radically transform the way public service operate. 8 out of 10. And then when you ask the civil servant, they are much more cautious about it, because fear of losing their jobs, fear of not doing the right things because of the algorithm being maybe not correct, etc. And therefore, we need to put ethic, trust in the way government operates, and we need to educate and skill the people.
But go ahead.
Yeah,
please.
I would just also answer the question, did they fail? And for me, at some point, they really failed, but they can fail again, also with technology. Technology is not a miracle. It's not like, okay, you have an algorithm and everything is going to be all right. For example, or you are doing a consultation and, okay, we are doing consultation, we are asking you a question, and it's okay, we've done our part. No. For example, concerning the methodology, for example, of consultation at Make.org, I think it's very important for the institution, government, to have third party like us that are here to legitimate and to be sure that we are going to go from the consultation to an actionable plan, not only asking a question, just to ask a question, but then gather the data and make sure that transparency, make sure that everyone can read the results of the consultation, and then make sure that there is an action after, because also it's not just it's just the beginning. It's not a good thing. I mean.
But you just talked about trust and ethics, and yet the example you used are Uber and Airbnb, which are platforms that do give a great service, but have some real social downsides. So does that mean that we can view general services as just a market? How can you build trust when you have social businesses like Make.org, or even completely, private entities that will come? Isn't the general interest something that should be, in a way, sanctified from private interests?
Well, and that's where it comes to the role of government eventually, because indeed, general interest topic needs to benefit to all of us, basically, and therefore, we need to live in a world, I would say, where we have regulation. One way or the other, because indeed we cannot let private interest decide one way or the other that this is general interest and this is not, and based on their own specific internal business rules. So I think we need regulation and we need government, and the major topic ahead of us is what we call the RegTech topic, so transforming the regulation in a tech world we live in, and doing it in a proactive way to avoid some downside to whatever situation. We need the businesses, the for-profit organization, to develop their own ethical rules, align with the overall state regulation, etc. And then we have to play in a big multipolar world, because if you look at the world today, if I make it very, very black and white, you have China, basically, where the state is the king, and you mentioned the social approach in China. You have the US, where business is the king, and that's another approach. And you have Europe, and we have GDPR, where the citizen is the king, kind of. And now we need maybe to balance and see how we can ensure that we have a fair approach, which is valid across the globe. If we want to implement across the globe some solutions, some approaches like we heard before for health, we cannot have so different ways of addressing trust and ethical topic. So I think it's a major challenge, let's say, for all of us, and that's where we need the citizen, we need all of us, all of you, to address this topic, because governments themselves cannot answer on their own.
Ms. Combaz, how do you make sure that we trust the system? I'm sure we can trust make.org. I'm sure that's the case. But how do you ensure that the actions are there and that we can fully, as citizens, go back into this link that you described as
it's a really good question. Trust concerning this kind of subject, because at make.org from the beginning, for example, we are for profit. We are not a non-profit, and from the beginning, sometimes for the citizens, it's better to be non-profit than for profit. But we wanted to have our independence, so we choose to be for profit, but then to make sure that the trust is still on, and we need this, because if they don't trust us, they are not going to come make the proposal, and then we are not going to change the world. So first thing that we've made is to create an ethics council. Independent in our governance is composed of citizens from the platform and 3 other people that are experts in their field. So it's this council is central to make.org, and every 2 months they gather, and they know everything about make.org. They know everything about the human resources. They know everything about the finance. They know everything about our partners. So, and they say yes or no, because we have a chart, and they say, okay, you can do this partnership with this firm, or you can't. So that's the way we try to build trust through this council, but also through all the process where we are open source, for example, another sign of transparency. So you can read our code, basically. And we try to make the best CRM in the world to make them updates on what's going on.
Thank you very much to you both. It's a vast topic that we're still exploring.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and end every panel by saying whip out your phone and get involved and all that, but you've heard the name. It's called make.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wen.